Some hearts break under the weight of duty. Lena felt it crushing her, long before the Lycan King sought her hand. The heavy silence enveloped her as she stood by the window, gaze lost in the dark forest beyond. The trees whispered secrets of freedom, but she was trapped, suffocated by demands. Golden chains tightened every day. Her family's expectations loomed like storms ready to break. She was an Omega, cherished, yes, but bound by obligation. The crown her family placed upon her head felt heavier than any metal. They spoke of honor, of duty. But to Lena, it felt like a prison, confining her to a life she never chose, a life she was too afraid to challenge. The king's request for her hand didn't ignite excitement. It was another weight, another stone added to the pile of expectations. Love was a fantasy whispered about in candlelit corners, but felt so far from her reality. Tonight, the royal ball would commence. The air crackled with anticipation. She could hear laughter in the halls, but it felt distant. Voices melded into a cacophony. Her heart raced in time to the thoughts spiraling in her mind. Would this be the night her life changed forever? Or just another evening spent in the shadow of her family's desires? Dressed in gilded silk and sparkling jewels, Lena tried to catch her reflection in the ornate mirror. She barely recognized the girl staring back at her, a wilting flower buried beneath layers of dirt and obligation. The fabric felt foreign, suffocating. She longed to rip it away, to break free from every binding thread that hand-sewed her future. The hall brimmed with nobles, laughter ringing through the air like bells. The moment Draven entered, silence fell like a heavy blanket. A ripple of awe spread across the ballroom. His presence was magnetic, drawing every eye, every heart. For him, the king, it must be easy, or so she thought. What lay beneath that fierce exterior? What filled the void behind those piercing eyes? Lena felt off balance. It was as if the world spun around him while she stood still, the ticking clock marking a countdown to her surrender. Would she ever escape this fate, or was this her destiny? Duty beckoned louder than any voice in the room, but something flickered in the connection between them, a hint of magnetic chemistry sparking in the air when their eyes first met. Hope? Or just the interaction of duty? Her heart squeezed painfully. Then the whispers began. Darkness loomed behind the gleaming chandeliers. Shadows danced in the corners of the room, lurking like predators waiting to strike. They whispered of betrayal and plots, of threats against the throne. Something dark brewed beneath the polished surfaces and elegant smiles, and it chilled her blood. Lena clutched her heart, feeling a pang of fear. This wasn't just her life at stake. It was the kingdom teetering on a knife's edge. As she grappled with the growing feelings for Draven, she felt the pull toward her destiny clashing with the expectations that bound her. Every ally could potentially turn into an enemy. Her family, whom she cherished, were they truly loyal, or was their love just a facade, masking darker agendas? Unable to breathe, she pressed her palms against the window, yearning for the air of freedom that lay just beyond the glass. The ball raged on around her, laughter, music, festivities, and she felt like a ghost, alone, yet surrounded. Could anyone see the weight she carried? She was desperate for change, each heartbeat a whisper of rebellion building within her. And in that moment of tumult, she knew this was the beginning, not just of the night, but of something deeper, a turning point. Facing the unknown, something within her stirred, a surge of rebellion against the burdens that had long defined her. Would she dare to turn the chains binding her into a shield of empowerment? Would she forge her own path? But how? The night was just beginning, and the shadows were gathering. The night air was thick with anticipation. The ballroom sparkled, gilded edges catching the light like fireflies, dancing shadows across the marbled floor. But beneath the opulence lay a deeper truth, one Lena was struggling to grasp. Lena had been the perfect daughter, the obedient Omega. She had learned early on the art of pleasing others. Her parents had invested dreams into her, dreams of soaring beyond their humble beginnings. Orphaned young, they had clawed their way back from nothing. The expectations felt like shards of glass pressing against her skin daily, demanding perfection in a world where she felt utterly inadequate. Years passed in a blur. Every birthday was a reminder of the crown she was expected to wear. Each joy was tinged with dread. The day the king's proposal came wasn't a surprise. It was simply highlighting the truths she had always known, that her life was never truly her own. It was a pawn in a larger game. Memories of childhood filled her thoughts, laughter echoing in her mind. Days spent in the forest, imagining adventures beyond these walls. She had looked up to the sky, dreaming of dragons and knights, of love that would sweep her off her feet. But reality had forged those dreams into shackles. Duty wasn't romantic. It was bruising, a relentless weight on her shoulders. Draven, the Lycan King, was equally burdened. Tales of his formidable power and fierce reign had carved his place into legend. Yet, even in the glories of battle, did he feel as hollow as she? Underneath the armor, behind those fierce eyes, was there a man wrestling with the expectations thrust upon him? The thought sent her heart racing. Could they ever be more than pieces on a chessboard? But who were they trying to convince? The thought of betrayal clung to her, like smoke in the air. Her family's love felt like shackles. Would they use her as a bargaining chip? Their whispers of loyalty echoing in her ears morphed into doubts. The strings tying her to her family were unraveled, revealing uncertainty beneath embellishments. In a kingdom rife with deception, she felt pregnant with fear. Something had to change. She moved away from the window, the swell of determination propelling her. Tonight was about more than fitting the mold. It was about rewriting her script. She lingered at the hall's edge, watching the crowd shift and glitter, the illusions of happiness swirling. And then she noticed something. Even amidst the banter, glimpses of wariness painted across the faces around her. Perhaps they all wore masks. What lay beneath that veneer? Long-hidden fears and desires. Maybe they were all afraid of the same shadows whispering of betrayal, the specter of a fight raging behind closed doors. Lena forced her breath steady, the rhythm matching the pulsating heart of the ball. And then came a moment that would change everything. Draven moved through the crowd, a relentless force commanding attention. Every gaze pivoted to him. She felt an almost magnetic pull toward him. He turned, eyes locking with hers, and the world vanished. A breath caught in her throat, warmth spreading. In that heartbeat, the fear retreated, but the shadows remained close. Lena could feel the chemistry, an unexpected charge crackling in the space between them. He was a warrior, molded by battles not yet fought, a king without the softness of love. Could she be the one to change that? "Forgive me," he directed toward her with a commanding tone, strong yet wrought with something else. Was it curiosity? "May I have this dance?" It felt like an invitation to venture into the unknown. Every instinct screamed caution. Yet, what was the worst that could happen? The music swelled, wrapping around them. She stepped forward, breaths shallow against the intoxicating scent of him. They moved together, a dance balanced between duty and the whispers of fate. A sea of gazes watched as they swayed in the middle of the crowd, her heart racing, each movement weaving them closer. And despite the risks, here, in this shared moment, reality melted, and she felt an inkling of choice, a flicker of possibility. But the shadows were shifting, the court watching through narrowed eyes. Danger loomed, threats swirled like storm clouds. How long could this moment last before the world crashed in? Could she truly reshape her destiny? Usher in change not just for herself, but for the kingdom? With each twirl and step, Lena felt the weight of transformation begin to lift. This was more than a dance. It was a symbol of resistance. But deep inside, uncertainty gnawed. Was this the right path? As their bodies intertwined, she grasped the fleeting hope of freedom, but also a growing fear of the unknown. The night continued, but for her, it stood still. Choice stood before her, a blank canvas awaiting bold colors, but the darkness remained ever present. Would she succumb to duty, or could she break free? And if so, at what cost? The kingdom awaited, teetering on the edge of change, and she was about to paint. But how? The melody wrapped around them, casting a spell as Lena and Draven swayed together. Each movement drew them closer, igniting sparks that threatened to consume her. but the ruthless reality of this evening loomed just beyond their perfect dance. Could there truly be love? Or was this only a strategy to unite their families? Suddenly, a thunderous crash interrupted her thoughts. The grand doors of the ballroom swung open, and a figure cloaked in shadows strode in, radiating menace. The laughter and chatter dimmed, replaced by a thick silence that seemed to draw tighter around Lena's chest. "Your Majesty," the figure announced, his voice laced with venom. "You host a splendid gathering, but your choice of mate is laughable." A ripple of shock moved through the crowd. Lena's heart raced. The taunt landed like a dagger. Who dared insult the king at such a gathering? Draven's expression darkened. He stepped forward, a wall of strength and authority. "State your business, trespasser." The intruder removed his hood, revealing a familiar face, twisted with contempt. "I seek to remind you of your frailty. Marrying this Omega only serves to highlight your desperation. You cannot claim a throne while shackled to weakness." Gasps erupted, fear echoing through the court. Lena felt heat crawl up her neck. She glanced at Draven, who wore a mask of restrained fury. "Leave now or face the consequences," he commanded, voice a low growl that sent shivers down her spine. "Consequences?" the noble sneered, stepping forward. "You're a shadow of your forefathers. If you wish to rule, remove the barriers in your way, starting with her." The gravity of the situation sunk in, dread curling in the pit of her stomach. Their union was now a weapon, a flashpoint threatening war with rival houses. Could they withstand such damning scrutiny? Draven's jaw tightened. "You dare threaten my kingdom? Walk away while you still can." The noble grinned, tainted with malice. "I have allies ready to rise against you. You have one chance. Walk away from this union or prepare for war." Panic surged through Lena. Could this escalating conflict tear apart their future before it had even begun? Drawing upon her courage, she stepped forward, voice steady. "I'm not a pawn for you or anyone else. If war is what you want, then bring it on. I won't be silent." Draven looked at her, surprised yet impressed. The awe in his eyes ignited a fire in her spirit. "Lena," he started, but she cut him off. "No, we need to stand together. We can't let him manipulate us with threats. If this is a fight they want, let's show them they chose the wrong targets." The noble's laughter dripped with derision, but Lena could see the unease flickering in his eyes. Foolish girl. Change the game you cannot win? She felt the heartbeat of the ballroom shifting. "No," she shot back. "You underestimate us both. Draven and I will face whatever lies ahead, together. You will not divide us." With a furious glare, the noble retreated, but his voice echoed down the hall. "Enjoy your fleeting moment, King. I will gather my forces, and next time, you won't be so fortunate." As shadows poured from the door, Lena's breath quickened. The air felt electric. She turned to find Draven's piercing gaze fixed on her, a mixture of admiration and worry swirling in his expression. "You really meant that?" he asked, disbelief lacing his words. "I did," she replied, her voice stronger than she anticipated. "I refuse to be afraid of what's to come. I want to shape our future, and I believe we can create something stronger together." "Brave," he said, stepping closer, the intensity of his stare igniting a whirlwind of emotions. "And wise. You would share this burden with me?" "Always," she answered, connecting with the fire within him. And suddenly everything felt possible. Time held its breath. They stood on the precipice, uncertain, but resolute. The kingdom was far from safe. Shadows loomed heavy on the horizon, but together, they could forge a path. "I need to stand as your equal," she told him, determination echoing in her heart. "This struggle is ours, not just yours." Draven studied her, as if seeing her for the first time. Not just a daughter in a noble house or a pawn in a game of kings. A partner. "We will fight for our future, Lena," he promised, "for what we believe in. But we must be prepared to face whatever comes. Allies will falter, and enemies will rise. This isn't just about us anymore." The reality weighed heavily on her, but the warmth of their shared conviction pushed back the moonlit shadows creeping near. Together, they could find their strength. "Let them come. I will stand by your side," she declared, her throat tight with emotion. We will not back down. But uncertainty still brushed against the edges of her heart. Could they truly navigate such treachery? Could they remain united against a kingdom that thrived on secrets? Questions lingered like a chill in the air, even as hope sparked within. Their bond could be their weapon, but it would take loyalty to withstand the strains ahead. As they turned back to the ballroom, the atmosphere shifted. While the darkness stirred outside, the light within them grew. But how long could they maintain the balance between love and survival? The atmosphere in the ballroom buzzed with unrest, conversations flickering like candle flames. Guests exchanged knowing glances, the tension thick enough to slice. Lena felt it in her bones. A storm was brewing, not just outside but within the very foundations of the kingdom. As she and Draven stepped back into the center of the ballroom, the weight of their shared resolve felt like a fragile glass ornament, balancing on a precarious edge. They had spoken of unity, of strength drawn from one another, yet the reality of the unfolding conflict weighed heavily on her chest. A guest approached them, Lord Astor, a respected figure with a look of wary caution. "Your Majesties," he greeted, bowing slightly, but his eyes turned to Draven. "May I have a moment of your time? There are murmurs of unrest among the houses. We need to act quickly." Draven turned to Lena, his expression darkening. "Stay with the others for now. I'll join you shortly." She nodded, though reluctance tugged at her heart. Every instinct pushed her closer to him, feeling the need to protect him just as much as he sought to protect her. "I'll be right here," she promised, stepping back just enough to create a small circle of distance, though her heart still raced in his presence. As Draven stepped aside with Lord Astor, Lena glanced around the ballroom, feeling the pulse of unease. Nobles whispered into each other's ears, glancing furtively to the doors as if expecting an ambush. The chattering laughter from moments before had dulled, replaced with guarded eyes and veiled threats. She caught a glimpse of Lady Yvain, an unsettling smile wrapped around her lips. The noblewoman had always favored manipulation over loyalty. Lena's unease twisted into a snarl of apprehension. "Lena, join us!" Yvain beckoned, her sweet voice laced with hidden daggers. "Come hear the latest about our dear king and his brave Omega." Lena stepped toward her with caution, curiosity smoldering beneath her composure. "What news could possibly warrant such enthusiasm, Lady Yvain?" "Oh, simply that there is much chatter about your alliance. Many think it is a foolish endeavor." "Is that so?" Lena replied, and beneath the rise in her defense, the brave voice within prompted her to push further. "And what do you propose instead?" Yvain leaned closer, every syllable dripped with poison. "A proper sacrifice may be in order, don't you think? It may appease those considering an uprising." Lena felt a coil of anger tightening in her chest. Yvain thrived on deceit, and this was yet another attempt to provoke weakness. Perhaps sacrificing noble intentions that bind us to a brighter future isn't the answer. What does the kingdom gain from such darkness? The noblewoman merely smiled, revealing her lack of fear. "What do we gain from a union that stands upon a knife's edge? Together? You know the court will never accept a decision born of desperation." "Then let us change their minds," Lena asked, her voice steady, unyielding, "with honor and strength, rather than through cowardice." Yvain waved a dismissive hand, turning to engage with another guest. "You've much to learn, but it's cute how you cling to hope." Lena turned away, frustration bubbling under the surface. No matter what alliances they forged, there would always be voices trying to keep them apart. But she refused to be defined by them. Moments later, Draven returned and found her standing resolute. "What did Lord Astor say?" Her breath hitched, anxiety clashing with hope. "They fear for the kingdom's stability," he said, eyebrows knitted in concern. "Talk of rebellion is spreading among the houses, and some may contemplate siding with our enemies. I must call for a council to address these fears openly." "Do you think they will listen?" Lena asked, searching his eyes. "Will they support our union?" Draven paused, considering. "Some will, but others will see it as weakness. We must decide our next move, together." "Together," she agreed, her palms tingling at the thought of solidarity. Could their combined strength truly shift the course of the kingdom? As the council commenced, Lena and Draven took their positions at the head of the long table, the air taut with anticipation. Lords and ladies filtered in, the tension palpable. The hum of voices dwindled into silence as Draven prepared to speak. "Thank you for gathering," he began, voice strong and steady. "We face unrest in our kingdom, but together we can overcome the challenges ahead. I stand here with Lena, as your king and as a man who seeks to build a future with her, one that is shared and filled with promise." Unease rippled through the assembled crowd. Some faces remained impassive, while others shifted uncomfortably. It was Lady Yvain who broke the silence, voice dripping with skepticism. "And this union shall unite hearts? Tell me, Your Majesty, how do you propose to stop the bloodshed?" "There's a foundation of strength that lies in unity," Draven replied, meeting her gaze without flinching. "We must abandon division and selfishness. Only through connection can we weather the storm." Another noble spoke up, pressing his fingers against the table. "Your partnership with an Omega may inspire some, but others will see it as a betrayal of tradition. There are those who seek to undermine your reign. What do you offer them?" "What do we offer them?" Lena chimed in, her voice cutting the air. "Strength. We stand together, an alliance born of trust and courage. I will lead beside Draven, not behind him." Murmurs rippled through the council, doubt twisting across the faces of the doubters. She felt vulnerability swell within her but forced it down. This was more than self-preservation. This was about the future of the kingdom, about claiming a legacy that transcended fear. For too long, the houses have fought for power, blind to the costs. We must unite through love, loyalty, and openness. Would they listen? Could she fight against the currents of tradition and expectation that weighed down their hearts? Draven turned to her, an unspoken appreciation shimmering in his gaze, knitting their hearts together against the barrage of disagreement. "Together, we can be the change this kingdom needs. We will not accept fear as a guiding principle. We will embrace a shared future." As Draven's confidence radiated from him, Lena felt hope ignite within. Could they truly reshape the hearts of a divided kingdom? Would their love be a catalyst for change, a lifeline against the darkness that loomed ominously? But as the council floor erupted into a cacophony of voices, arguing, challenging, accusing, doubts crept back in, gnawing at her resolve. Could they garner the trust of a kingdom bent on destruction? For their bond to survive, would it stand firm against the tempest of their foes? The battle for their future had begun, but uncertainty still rattled the edges of their strength. In a world of turmoil, could love truly bind them together? The council chamber erupted into chaos, the clash of voices blending into an angry hum. Lena felt the weight of every gaze, each pair scrutinizing her as if she were a wild beast ready to strike. Anxiety clawed at her, fraying the edges of her certainty. "Enough!" Draven's commanding voice pierced the fray, silencing the crowd. He stepped forward, shoulders squared, a king prepared to face a storm. "We are not here to bicker like children. There is a kingdom to protect." Lena could see the struggle in his eyes as he met each gaze, searching for allies among the naysayers. "Lena and I do not seek to weaken our houses, but rather to unify them through strength. We stand at a crossroads, and I will not let our future be decided by fear." A lord near the back scoffed openly. "You wish to unite through love? This isn't a fairy tale, Draven. The council requires loyalty and strength, qualities your union lacks." "Does it?" Lena snapped, her voice rising above the din. "Can nature be defined only by tradition? Love is a force that surpasses the bounds of your narrow definitions." The tension shifted. She could feel Draven's gaze on her, a beacon anchoring her in the tumult. She pressed on, determination igniting her spirit. "Look around you. For centuries, houses have risen and fallen because of selfishness and greed. Is that truly what you wish for our kingdom?" "Passion does not win battles, girl," Lady Yvain sneered, an edge of amusement in her tone. "It is strategy that rules a kingdom. When the battles come, will you both be ready to lead, or will you falter?" This was her moment. The weight of doubt hung heavy, but Lena met Yvain's gaze with a fierce steadiness. If a realm refuses to trust its own heart, it is already lost. We've wasted blood and resources ignoring this truth. Power lies in connection. in understanding one another's strengths and weaknesses. Wisdom beyond your years, Lena, Draven praised, his pride warming the space between them. The corners of his mouth turned upward, and in that instant, she felt their energy intertwine like threads of fate weaving together. But the moment faltered as a voice cut through the assembly again. "Words are empty, my dear." Lord Caro, a staunch opponent, leaned forward, facial lines deepened by a lifetime of skepticism. "What are you prepared to sacrifice to prove your worth?" A chill snaked down her spine, like a ghost whispering warnings of betrayal. "What sacrifices?" she managed, seeking clarity in the haze of doubt. "What more could we give if not our hearts? What if it is not enough?" He pressed, the weight of his words echoing ominously. "Perhaps the council needs to see proof to believe in a united front, or we expose ourselves to the wolves waiting to tear us apart." A relentless pressure built up in her chest. "You speak of sacrifice, but refuse to acknowledge the strength in what we offer. Love is not a weakness. It should inspire courage." Around her, the visibility of uncertainty rippled, a tide of dissent washing through the ranks. Lena could almost taste their fear. This was a battle, not fought with swords, but with conviction and will. Draven turned to her, eyes glistening in the candlelight. "What are you suggesting?" "I suggest we test our unity against their cruel intentions. Show them that we are willing to fight together, risk it all for the future we envision," she replied, heart racing in her chest. "And if they choose to strike first?" Draven asked, a shadow of worry clouding his expression. "Then we stand together. We become what this kingdom needs. For every house that doubts us, we'll crush that doubt beneath our feet," she said, bile rising at the thought of betrayal. This was not just for them anymore. It was for the very soul of their kingdom. "Very well," Draven declared, voice steady. "We shall challenge those who oppose us. We will arrange a test, a council meeting where our strengths can be showcased. And if we fail?" a voice asked from the corner. "Then we'll face the consequences together," he replied. And in that moment, Lena saw the king he was meant to be emerge. No longer was he a mere leader. He was fierce, unwavering in his resolve. The council murmured among themselves. Some believed, while others scoffed. The stakes had been raised, and uncertainty pulsed like a heartbeat under the surface. The question of loyalty raised a specter over their heads. "Let us show the kingdom true power," she suggested, igniting hope deep within herself. "Let them witness the love we wield as our blade. We will embrace every challenge until the truth is seen for its brilliance." With that rallying cry, the atmosphere shifted. The council chamber felt charged with potential, echoes of new purpose weaving through the discussions. "What of the council's rivals?" Lord Astor spoke, concern threading through his voice. "We must prepare for their counterattack. A show of unity will bolster us," Draven affirmed, resolve strengthening his posture. "Let it be known, we are not to be underestimated. Lena and I will not bow to threats or fear. We will create our destiny." As the plan solidified, Lena's heart raced with a mix of excitement and fear. Could they indeed execute their daring vision? Would their love be the beacon guiding them through the storms that lay ahead? But within her, the flickers of doubt continued to whisper. What sacrifices did this new battle demand? Could they withstand the fires of rejection and betrayal? As the council ejected the tension woven throughout, the murmurs and discussions turned toward strategy. With minds ignited, they spoke of alliances, gathering forces together to strengthen their hand. The walls of tradition shook under the weight of creativity. Yet, as the discussions unfolded, Lena couldn't help but wonder, would passion be enough to hold back the surge of treachery lurking in the shadows? The stakes had never been higher, and the looming threat of war hung heavily, ready to crash over them like a wave. But for the first time, she saw flickers of hope. If they could harness the fire between them, perhaps together they were stronger than every storm that threatened to shake their world. As Lena looked to Draven, their hands slid together, hearts racing in tandem. They stood not just as leaders, but partners ready to face the abyss. But could their love truly wield the power they needed to extinguish the flames of conflict before them? As the echoes of determination settled into the air, a new journey awaited them, a journey born from passion, love, and unwavering courage. The battle was just beginning, and with every heartbeat, they would cling to each other as their greatest weapon. But would it be enough? They had to find out. The days molded into a flurry of preparation as tension coiled tight around Castle Valoran. Echoes of strategy and uncertainty danced in the air, thrumming with each heartbeat of the kingdom. Lena and Draven worked tirelessly, balancing urgency with purpose. In the war room, maps sprawled across the table. Knights and advisors exchanged fervent ideas. "We must show our unity," Draven insisted. "Let it echo through these halls. We will not bow to fear." Lena nodded, adrenaline sparking her resolve. "Agreed. We need to launch a counter-challenge to demonstrate our strength and commitment." The room buzzed with agreement, hearts igniting with newfound purpose. Yet, beneath her conviction, doubt repelled against her determination. What would they have to sacrifice? Could their hearts weather the storm to come? Days slipped away, time a gentle thief as the dual challenge loomed closer. The council agreed to a compelling test of partnership, a showcase of not just strength, but also their unwavering bond. As friends and foes gathered outside the castle, Lena felt the weight of countless eyes on her. "Are you ready?" Draven's voice brought her back to the moment. She nodded, heart pounding against her chest, armor heavy upon her frame. "Together," she affirmed. "Always together," he replied, a fierce determination reflecting in his gaze. The arena stood before them, warriors ready to clash swords. The atmosphere crackled with tension as challengers stepped forward, knights representing the opposing factions. The duel would prove not only their unity, but showcase who they truly were as a partnership. "Face your challengers!" the announcer shouted, and the crowd erupted into fervor. Lena took up her position beside Draven, focusing deeply. With every strike, they drew upon each other's strength. Steel met steel as Lena and Draven wove their skills together, striking in harmony amid the growing chaos. But as the battle raged, Lena miscalculated a step. One of the knights landed a fierce blow, knocking her off balance. Time felt suspended as she stumbled, panic surging. "Lena!" Draven's shout rang out, filled with concern, urging her to recover. But in the split second of faltering, power surged through her, fire igniting within. Regaining her stance, she charged forward. This was not just a battle. It was a declaration. Together they fought back, repelling their foes, showing strength born from the bond they forged. As the crowd cheered, she felt energy and hope swelling around them. With a fierce resolve, they disarmed their opponents one by one until victory emerged from the haze of conflict. "Together," Draven said, a victorious fire blazing in his eyes. "Always," Lena echoed, pride swelling in her chest. The applause washed over them like a tide, recognition lighting their way forward. But as Lena glanced around, a flicker of apprehension surfaced. The true battle was yet to come. "Now we must govern our people," Draven remarked, his tone somber. "There are still those who doubt us." "How do we steer this momentum into lasting change?" Lena breathed, uncertainty brushing against her resolve. "We show them the strength of unity," he replied, determination shining through. "We face the traditions that would tear us apart." As they stepped forward together, hands clasped, Lena felt a flicker of doubt linger still. They had ignited hope, but what other sacrifices lay ahead? With every measured footstep, her heart thudded against the uncertainty. In this war of emotions, the hardest battles would be fought in the hearts of their people. But there was a spark of defiance between them. With love as their shield, perhaps they could pen an entirely new legacy for their kingdom. The path ahead may be fraught with danger, but Lena knew one thing. Together, they could challenge the very essence of tradition. If you enjoyed Lena and Draven's journey against tradition's tides, subscribe for more epic Lycan King romances. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. Remember, love can reshape the world. Thank you for listening.